Earlier this week, it came to my attention that May is Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. It came to my attention when one of us said to me, "What are we doing about it?" Caught slightly off guard, I responded that I thought we might be a little late to the game, being that it's already May, and I also noted that it was a few other months that I had noted as well. Now, I don't want to shortchange our AAPI siblings, nor a heritage and a history that no doubt I, for one, need to know more about. But I will confess that I have a rather Protestant bias, a Reformed bias against every day as a holiday and participation trophies. But that shouldn't have influenced my answer the way that it did. I've been thinking that maybe I need to be a little easier on myself and thus to everybody else. Why can't every day be a holiday? Yes, more history is always good. And yes, clearly, I need more Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month myself, first of all, knowing that it's the month of May. May is Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, and we are lucky people to have in our midst our first Asian American music director, Henry Lee. Henry, you are a great addition to our team, not simply because you are Asian American, but because you're a great musician, a faithful heart, and a good leader. And I know that coming into a historically white congregation cannot be without its challenges to you. Thinking back to when you joined us last fall and talking with Pastor Bridget, who is spending time with her family today, I am most glad that when you joined us, there was a moment in our time together when there was a BIPOC affinity group meeting as part of our anti-racist work. I know that space was important to some of you to come together. And many of us who identify as on the margins or ready to crash a glass ceiling or first generation you name whatever, many of us need spaces to speak where we can be ourselves without having to translate, to not have to conform to the rules of white or male or heteronormative culture, all of that stuff that goes under the rubric of professional. Henry, Bridget, and I have had more conversations about AAPI history and Heritage Month and how we might all lift this up. And we're planning to do so 2 weeks from today on May 22nd. I promise you won't want to miss it. May is also Older Americans History Month. We haven't yet programmed for that. May is also Jewish American Heritage Month, for which we also haven't programmed. According to the National Day Calendar, a website that suggests you celebrate every day, this is also ALS Awareness Month, American Cheese Month, Better Speech and Language Month, Celiac Disease Awareness Month, Correct Your Posture Month, International Drum Month, Mental Health Awareness, Brain Cancer and Brain Tumor Awareness, National Date Your Mate Month, National Foster Care Month, and both National Asparagus and National Barbecue Month. This is not a complete list. In addition to each of these month-long celebrations, that someone thinks that some of us should be observing, there are also a few days that we name specifically. Maybe you had tacos or margaritas on Thursday night for Cinco de Mayo. Maybe you're planning a trip or a picnic for Memorial Day. Maybe you don't know that May 14th is National Dance Like a Chicken Day and that the 18th is National Visit Your Relatives Day, or that the 29th is National Paperclip Day. And maybe after considering these celebrations in your own calendar, maybe what you really need is to join me on May 21st for a much-needed World Whiskey Day. But wait, there's more. There's today. Let's not forget about this day, this glorious day. And no, it's not the fourth Sunday of Easter. Nobody cares about that anymore. No, it's not National Cream Pie Day or Have a Coke Day, though technically it is both of those days too. No, as my therapist friends and I like to say, if it isn't one thing, it's your mother. It's Mother's Day. It's Mother's Day here in the United States, a day we celebrate on the second Sunday of May every year. This is as seemingly straightforward as mothers themselves, which is to say, not at all. For any of you who have, like me, lived or come from abroad, you may know the perils of national holidays that are celebrated on different dates in different countries. In the U.S., our Mother's Day comes from a 1914 decree by President Woodrow Wilson, who declared that this be a national holiday, quote, as a public expression of love and reverence for the mothers of our country. By the 1920s, a fledgling card company you may know as Hallmark was leading the charge of creating cards for the now multi-million-dollar flowers, chocolate, cards, and brunch business that dare any of us to walk into a restaurant after church without a reservation today. In the UK, by contrast, Mother's Day stems not from Hallmark and is not this second Sunday of May business, but rather from a medieval Christian tradition. British Mother's Day falls on the fourth Sunday of Lent, the midpoint exactly 3 weeks before Easter. It does so because of the medieval church holiday Mothering Day, where young domestic servants were given the day off to go home to their mother church and reunite with their families in the midst of the holiest season. This aspect of Mother's Day is now largely forgotten, though the date is still commemorated, and now many contemporary Brits now buy cards and chocolates and flowers and all things devoted to dear old Mum. They just did it a few weeks ago. Now, to say that this month of holidays or even this singular holiday today is uncomplicated is an understatement. Mothers are wonderful. They can also be tricky. Motherhood is a gift for some, a most desired wish of others, a hindrance to still others, and a right, not a forced requirement. Our nation's highest court seems dangerously close to confusing this week. Mothers. We all have them. Moms. Some kids even get 2 these days. Mothers of the grand or of the God or of the chosen or of the foster variety. Some of us have many mothers. And on this day, I think of and have already called my own mom, she's on Zoom with us this morning, to tell her how much I love and appreciate her. I also think of all the women who have mentored or who have mothered or who have supported me in ways that have made me the person I am, and I can appreciate and love them too. I also think of the men out there, the ones who stay home with the kids while the wife goes to work or the partner goes to work, or the ones whose partner is gone, the ones who are mother and father both. They always know what to do. I think of how the queer community has refastened family relationships after too many of us were rejected by birth parents and who find themselves living in houses with drag mothers or new dads who help them come into the fullness of themselves. I think of the women I know that wanted to be mothers or partners, but who instead pour their mothering selves into the craft instead, the craft of people, of birthing new creations of literature or of drama, of pouring themselves into scholarship or pedagogy, of creating business and mothering enterprise into being. I think of how the generation that is coming into being now, the ones who are leading us all to redefine our personal relationships with gender and of gender norms and of pronouns and of expression. I wonder how these young leaders, as they come into the parenting age, will help us reimagine the gender constructs of Mother's and Father's Days, of non-binary parental caregiver days, and of what it means to truly take care of each other. I, of course, think of moms, plain and simple. But if there's any one thing that's sure about today, is that there's nothing plain and simple about being a mom, nor of having a mom, nor even of trying to celebrate those who mother today. And on this day, this fourth Sunday of Easter 2022, more commonly known in America as Mother's Day, the writers of the lectionary give us the 23rd Psalm, which you heard Peter read for us this morning from Canada, where it is also not Mother's Day today. This is a text well known by many of us, beloved by many of us, and so well known that I wonder if we're still able to hear it. If we're able to hear it in all of its power, or if it's like running out the door at the last minute. Yeah, Mom, I got you. I'll call when I get there. We know what it says. We don't have to listen anymore. We love this psalm, but do we take it for granted? Do we really hear it today? Or do we let the words wash over us and maybe take us to a different time or a different place? A distant memory that comes flooding back whenever we hear these words. This is a pastoral psalm, one that invokes pastoral scenes of sheep grazing safely and resting in the care of the shepherds they trust. And we know this psalm so well, and I'm sure it is a great comfort to many of you, just as it is to me. But for something as well known and beloved as the 23rd Psalm, its imagery couldn't be farther afield for many of us New Yorkers. What do we know about sheep? What do we know about them other than that the big lawn where some of us like to picnic is called Sheep's Meadow? What do we know other than the images we painted in Sunday school or made out of cotton balls? What do we know about being shepherds, for that matter, other than that we like the ones in the nativity scene and the ones the children like to play in the pageant? What do we really know about sheep raising or the comfort of rods and staffs? And yet, even in our contemporary landscape, even now, even as far away as these things are, Jesus, the Good Shepherd, continues to be a well-loved and often quoted image of God. I wonder if there are other ways we might hear this psalm, other metaphors we might imagine for God's care for God's people. What if, like Jesus in the Gospels of both Matthew and Luke, what if we imagine God not as a shepherd, but as a mother hen who gathers her brood under her wings? Or what if, like the prophet Isaiah does, what if we imagine God as a woman in labor, gasping and panting, those are Isaiah's words, to bring new life into the world? What if we, like the ancient writers of Deuteronomy, see God as a mother eagle, stirring up its nest, creating a home, hovering over her young, spreading her wings to catch us and to carry us? What if we took Scripture's license, coupled it with a bit of Mother's Day license, and imagined the sheep tender not as a shepherd, but a shepherdess? Maybe not even a young shepherdess, but an older, wiser, a maternal one. What if we heard the opening of the 23rd Psalm this way? The Lord is my mother, I shall not want. The Lord is my mother, I shall not want. She makes me lie down in green pastures at nap time and leads me to still waters that restore my soul. She leads me in the right paths for the goodness of what she has done and believes what I can do. Though I shall walk through the darkest valley, I shall fear no evil, for my mother is with me. Her hand and her voice, they comfort me. She prepares, always in the kitchen as she is, a table before me in the presence of my enemies. As a child, she anointed my head at bath time, and there are always leftovers to take home with me. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord, my mother's house where there are many mansions, my whole life long. What if we heard the 23rd Psalm that way? What if we heard the 23rd Psalm this day? What shifts might occur? What truth might we hear? What life mystery might God be longing for us to see? What goodness and mercy will follow us if only we listen to more of what God is saying and more of what God is being? Months called by many national holiday names. Days called by many national observances, mothers, both birth and of all the different stripes and shapes and sizes and genders that they come in, like Scripture, and how it can always be listened to anew. That is, of course, what holidays do to us. They call us to listen to the text of our daily lives in new ways, new holy ways. New ways for us and for all people. And so whatever this day is to you, whatever mothers mean to you, what other Mother's Day means to you or doesn't mean to you, however you need to hear God restoring your soul like a shepherdess leading her sheep, may you find it. And may you be open to it. And may you know that like a mother hen, God longs to gather you tenderly under her wing, close to the Almighty heart. Happy Mother's Day.